Weld County fights for its liberal approach to oil and gas regulation. The vice president's fundraiser for Cory Gardner included everything but Cory Gardner. A candidate for mayor in Lakewood shows us what governing via chain email would look like. And it's terrifying. And a climate scientist coming to Colorado from Europe wanted to reduce his carbon footprint. The boat slowed him down, but not as much as the bike. That's next. Colorado took a 3-month break from fighting over oil and gas regulations, but thankfully that's over. So you know how Democrats at the Capitol just gave local jurisdictions more power over drilling rules. They did that so that cities and counties could be more strict. But what if Weld County wants to go all drill, baby, drill? Our Marshall Zellinger looks at what control really means.
What oil and gas has done for Weld County is obvious. At least from Weld County 49, the highway oil and gas taxes built. This morning, Weld County commissioners approved a new county department of oil and gas energy to handle requests for where oil and gas operations want to set up above ground. Except Weld County got this note from the Attorney General's office saying above ground permit requests still need state approval.
It just appeared to me that the state is attempting to essentially take the local out of local land use control, which would fly directly in the face of Senate Bill 181.
I don't believe that to be the case. I think that Weld County still has its opportunity to regulate surface and land use issues. The state will have its opportunity to regulate certain issues above ground.
When lawmakers passed Senate Bill 181 this past session, local governments like Weld County were given more control on oil and gas decisions, at least above ground.
We are no longer preempted by the state, by the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission when it comes to land use authority. So the state just needs to back down and not think that they can enter into that field.
Irrespective of what a community does, whether they're less restrictive, not regulatory, or more restrictive, there is still a state permitting protocol that is applicable.
So what is local control? If you want to basically restrict oil and gas, go for it. But if a local government like Weld County wants to be less restrictive, okay, but the state believes it still has final approval for what happens above ground, and that must meet the minimum state requirements, regardless of how lenient a local jurisdiction might want to be.
You knew Weld County was going to try this, and you knew the state was going to try to slap them down for it.
And this is going to be step one. I have no doubt if the state and Weld County get at each other, because look at that highway. Severance taxes built that highway. You don't want to take that away from Weld County in the future. This could go to a courtroom one day, but hopefully it won't go that far.
Who sues people over government stuff? Oh, yes, I know. Thank you, Marshall. Colorado's Taxpayer Bill of Rights has another legal challenge, this one back from the dead. A federal judge has revived an 8-year-old lawsuit that came from towns suing to overturn the law that lets Coloradans vote on tax increases. So now that comes back going after Tabor. A separate attempt to chip away the Taxpayer Bill of Rights could be on the 2020 ballot for your consideration. President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense successfully defended Senator Cory Gardner from an uncomfortable photo op today. Gardner headed back to Washington to vote on that nomination rather than appear with Vice President Mike Pence in Windsor at a fundraiser for Gardner's reelection. Vice President Mike Pence arrived on Air Force 2 this morning. Senator Gardner was not there to greet him as he stepped off the plane. In fact, it appeared that no elected Republicans were waiting to formally welcome the vice president to Colorado. There were some supporters there, so he said hi to them, said that he was going to campaign for Gardner, and off the vice president went to raise some money. So fun fact, Martin Lind, the developer who hosted the fundraiser at his very nice home in Windsor, he's the same guy who refuses to give back the Kelly Cup, you know, the hockey trophy. A dispute between Lind's Colorado Eagles and the ECHL led to Lind keeping the trophy and the Hockey League having to make a new one to give to this year's champion. You think the vice president saw the trophy when he was there? That would have been cool. So you love your aunt, but when she sends you a chain email, you delete it. Now imagine the person sending you internet droppings is an elected official who wants her fellow elected officials to make their policy decisions based on anonymous stuff she finds on the interwebs. Lakewood City Councilwoman and candidate for mayor, Ramey Johnson, told our Steve Steger it's not her job to fact check it.
I was sent an article, and it was on climate change.
Since Lakewood City Council was talking about the city's sustainability plan, Councilwoman Ramey Johnson said she figured she'd send it along.
In good faith, hey, here's an article. we're doing the sustainability thing tonight, just glance at it, see what you think.
The article she sent in an email to council points to a study out of Finland claiming climate change isn't caused by humans as much as it is by nature.
And, you know, I had not vetted it. And maybe I should have, you know, that's hindsight.
That study has never been peer-reviewed or published. Many scientists have criticized its lack of data and standards. And the article that points to the study is written by Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt's character from the movie Fight Club.
Have you ever seen the movie Fight Club?
No, I have not.
Johnson admits she hadn't really read the article thoroughly before she sent it along, but she says she sees nothing wrong with that.
I think that the culture on a city council should be that you are sharing information, and should you yourself vet it ahead of time, you know, I think that can go either way. Other people can do it as well.
Johnson is running for Lakewood mayor. We asked her if voters might be concerned that she's sharing unverified information from a blog written by an anonymous source.
This should tell them that I am trying to get information from everywhere, and I'm happy to read everything that's out there. You can get it from wherever you want. You can pick and choose your information. You don't have to read it. Like I said, when you open up the newspaper, Steve, there are different articles. If you feel like it's something you don't want to see, you don't have to read it.
So Johnson says she supports Lakewood's sustainability plan, just wanted to make sure that all the perspectives were part of the conversation. And she believes whoever leaked this information about her sharing this article is trying to sabotage her campaign for mayor. Now, she says that she's talked to several other people who have looked over that article and looked at the claims, which, by the way, are posted by researchers in Finland on a blog kind of website where people post manuscripts full of information. Scientists post that stuff.
Okay.
It hasn't been published. That Finland study has not been published in a peer-reviewed journal. That's the issue that a lot of scientists have with that study.
So at any point did she tell you that she was concerned about whether the information was true or false, or was it just about, hey, I saw something that made me feel good, so I wanted to share it?
She said it was, I want to get all the perspectives out there, and that she hadn't really read that article thoroughly when she sent it out, has since, in the time since.
Yeah.
And will do that a little bit more thoroughly the next time she sends something out.
She should watch Fight Club, too, because that's an awesome movie.
It's a great movie, yeah.
Yeah, and then she would know who wrote the article.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Steve. The campaign to recall Democratic Governor Jared Polis is the most audacious signature gathering effort in our state's history. I mean, nobody has ever gathered nearly as many signatures as they need. So it's kind of surprising to hear organizers say they are on the right track to submit enough signatures. They would not show me numbers. So either the dismissed Polis effort is telling the truth and they are headed toward accomplishing an incredible feat, or they're lying. It's one or the other, right? So they're 2 weeks into this. They're about a quarter of the way through their 60-day signature gathering sprint. To really be on pace, as they say, to make their 900,000 signature goal, that would mean they have about 225,000 by now. That alone is more than the current record of verified signatures for a petition effort in Colorado. And mind you, that was a record that was set in 6 months, not in 60 days or in 2 weeks. But they won't show me the numbers, so I can't tell you either the Polis recall is on track to make history, or they're lying. So, how's former Governor John Hickenlooper's campaign for president going? You know, he's in the Democratic primary. His current challenge appears to be making sure that people who don't know who he is don't hold him accountable for someone else's positions.
I do remember from the first debate, Amy Klobuchar slapped you down pretty hard when you said that line that you were the only one that had done something on abortion rights and choice, and she said there's 3 women on the stage.
Oh, yeah,
what are you going to do to distinguish yourself this time?
I don't think that wasn't to me.
Just it wasn't to you?
No, I didn't make that statement.
Which one was it? Who was it to?
I don't remember.
Inslee? Inslee?
Yeah, I wasn't out on her night. So
all white people look alike, apparently.
It wasn't me. It was one of the other ones that looks like me, that's indistinguishable from me. So I mean, you have to feel for Governor Hickenlooper, because in the first debate, he's trying to break through. He was overshadowed by the candidate standing to his left, Marianne Williamson. She had some pretty unique musings about life in the world. And in the next debate, Hickenlooper's challenge is to outshine the star power of former Maryland Congressman John Delaney, who will be standing next to him. So, best of luck. Our Democrats in the Colorado congressional delegation went through the ICE detention facility in Aurora today. They came out reporting that it is clean and looks much different than the facilities that Congress has been concerned about on the border with Mexico. Now, they can't just pop in for this, so presumably some house cleaning happened. They had to schedule this tour ahead of time. Democratic Representative Jason Crow of Aurora said he worries that kind of gives them a chance to whitewash the situation. Since February, Crow's tried to get in there 3 times unannounced at this Aurora processing center. Every time he's been denied. For now, he's been scheduling weekly visits. He would like to see a situation where members of Congress can just show up.
Because we believe very strongly in regular oversight and making sure that we're conducting that on a regular basis, that we're not just getting a window dressing account of what's happening, but we get a snapshot over time of what these facilities are really like.
So, in fact, he has introduced a bill that would do that in Congress. It would give him and every other member of Congress the opportunity to go to those detention facilities unannounced. We reached out to ICE. They didn't want to talk about today's visit.
It's assigned with one job, and it's doing it and doing it and doing it well. And a CU Boulder climate scientist opts against the airplane flight. Carbon footprint, you know.
I spent 87 days and it was one of the most amazing trips of my life.
It's fair to say he took the scenic route.
This was only possible by not flying. I'm never going to fly again.
That long story, told quickly, next.
Warm with another round of evening storms. So far sparing the metro area. Dry downtown with mostly cloudy skies. Our high today at 87 is just shy of the average and nowhere near record territory. We have thunderstorms coming off the foothills, moving from the northwest to the south-southeast. One severe cell east of DIA. Have had some damaging wind reports in the area north of the terminals there in the 60 and 70 mile per hour range. A lot of lightning. So if you have travel plans in or out of the airport, there may be some delays due to this line of storms. It is east of the airport, sagging southward, but this line of storms has a history of producing 1-inch diameter hail and damaging winds. So Comanche, Hoyt, and Adina in the line of that storm there. We have heavy thunder, lightning, and heavy rainfall around Castle Rock, Castle Pines, Parker, and Ponderosa Park. This line is tracking quickly southeast at about 25 miles per hour and will be moving out in the next hour or so. Tomorrow, we have enough moisture for isolated storms once again in the afternoon. So tonight, partly cloudy, chance of showers and thunder early in the city and then clearing. Tomorrow, warm with about a 20% chance of afternoon storms. Low 90s possible midweek with a chance of storms almost each and every afternoon. Temperatures not in record territory this week with our best chance for strong storms, Kyle, Wednesday afternoon and again on Thursday.
Kathy, thank you. All right, kids, let's play What Do You Say? The game where we try and settle arguments over how to pronounce this Colorado place name or that one. Tonight, this one. A road in southeast Aurora starts with a P. You know this is all driven by your requests. Kay, Jim, and one. So we reached out to the city of Aurora to ask, what do you say?
The most often pronunciation we hear is Powhatan. The road itself was named for the Native Americans who lived in the Chesapeake Bay area. So if you go for the most common pronunciations for that, you're probably looking at more of a Powhatan.
So Powhatan is the traditional tribal pronunciation. The locals say Powhatan. So your call, I suppose. Now you know the difference. That street was named by, or that road rather, was named by Howard C. Maloney. We have talked about Howard before. He's the guy who laid out Denver's street grid and named a whole string of streets after native tribes. And we have since mucked up the names of a bunch of them. All right, where to next? Email suggestions to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext.
So you're a climate scientist in Europe who has to get to Boulder, and you don't want to get on a plane.
When I arrived in the Bahamas, I took 3 ferries, then a Greyhound bus, 24 hours to New Orleans, and then I biked to Boulder.
And let's hear it for the Girl Scouts and their trash art. Next.
We're about to meet a climate scientist who will not fly, won't get on a plane, doesn't want the carbon footprint, but he needed to get to Boulder from Amsterdam. If you're a fan of maps, you know he had a problem. Our Byron Reed shows us how he made that long journey with a smile.
I'm in the folder.
Joop Van Dyke is a fan of sharing memories with his parents
Every shot is moving because the waves are going up and down.
Of his unforgettable journey to the United States.
I really had to check in, wait in the boarding area, and then arrive in Florida with all the tourists, you know. Right. And I was sitting on the ship thinking, man, these people around me have no idea what I just did.
Van Dyke is from Amsterdam and recently started a job as a climate researcher for CU Boulder. He accepted the position about a year ago, but faced the tough question of how to minimize his carbon footprint getting to Colorado.
Do I want to fly? Do I want to do it another way? By stepping into a plane, you emit CO2 in the atmosphere through that plane, through the exhaust that it makes. And this affects Earth's biochemical cycles.
So he decided to make the 8,000-mile journey.
It took 87 days.
By rail, boat, bus, and bike.
I took a train from Amsterdam to Switzerland, then another train from Switzerland to Spain, then a bus. Then I went on a ship.
I suggested to take a cruise and enjoy the trip from Europe to the States.
When I arrived in the Bahamas, I took 3 ferries. Then a Greyhound bus, 24 hours to New Orleans, and then I biked to Boulder.
It's very special to have a child that has so much, put so much effort on showing the world that it's very important to act now.
Van Dyke says he hopes to raise awareness to others about his trip.
I spent 87 days and it was one of the most amazing trips in my life.
That's leaving him with a long-lasting impression.
This was only possible by not flying. I'm never going to fly again.
For Next, I'm Byron Reed.
Van Dyke figures that he reduced the carbon footprint of his journey by 95% by not taking a plane. Saw some stuff too. He plans to go back to Europe someday. Says he won't fly the return leg either. The Arkansas River has been running high and fast and trashy this year. That's some of it. It is less trashy along that river thanks to Girl Scout Troop 27971. They picked up that trash along a river hike in Salida, made art out of it to remind us of who and what is impacted when we trash the outdoors. It is a sign with a temporary job. That and your feedback next. It's a sign that there will be a sign where we currently see a sign. Dawn Hersbruner spotted this future sign site sign in Castle Rock along Ridge Road behind a store off Highway 86. This is great. This is my favorite in weeks. Douglas County says this is likely the site of a new CDOT sign that's going to go up along 86. Engineers say that the metal contraption next to it, that's the support bracket that's used by CDOT, which was kind enough to tell us that a sign is coming. Double feature for you because you've been sending us so many great signs lately. Remember the British singer Seal, Kiss from a Rose or something like that, when that song? Apparently somebody left this car for him in Aurora, which is really kind. I don't know how else you would explain a For Seal sign on the car spotted by Dallas Miller in a parking lot at Chambers in Hamden. That's great too. I like that one. You send your signs to next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext. Some feedback tonight from James, who says, Kyle, you sure seem to get excited when talking about the Polis recall and other Democratic actions. I'm not sure that excited is the word for it, James. We outlined that the folks who are trying to recall Governor Polis are either pulling off the impossible but refuse to show us the evidence, or they're lying. Excited is one word for it, I suppose. And Addie says, I am learning to like your jackets because I like Next. You don't have to like them both. See you next time.